Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. This is the Draft Prospect Show, where we take a look at some of the rising juniors and seniors that are finishing up their football season and projecting themselves. If you're a senior, you automatically get to go, but there are several juniors that may cross the line and decide to forego their senior season and declare themselves eligible for the NFL draft in 2025. So, along with Vincent Turner, our producer is Logan Landers. He's not going to join us for this show, but Vincent, I'm going to tell you right. We're going to look at three new players, three additional ones we've been doing all season long. And we've got some guys that are a little bit smaller, if you don't mind me going there, but boy, they pack a punch. We're going to talk about Jack Kaiser, linebacker from Notre Dame. We're going to talk about Luther Burden. He is a wide receiver from Missouri, and Maxwell Hairston, who is a cornerback at the University of Kentucky. Vincent, let's start with Jack Kaiser. Here's a guy that comes out of the University of Notre Dame, and if nothing else, this guy can hit.
He's what I say, old school. Somebody when you playing in the neighborhood, whether it's in California or Tennessee, when you're a young man and there's that one guy that can hit like a brick house, you stay away from him. And when you talk about violent, explosive tacklers, you got to think about Mr. Kaiser and the mentions of Dick Butkus, Singletary, Jack Lambert, Bill Berge. Reminds me of a guy that I saw play when I was a student at the University of Arkansas, and he played for the Houston Cougars. He was a three-time All-Southwest Conference first-team player in Grady Turner. Explosive. And another thing that I like about Mr. Kaiser is that he's an ultimate leader, very vocal in a locker room, and a guy that you got them football players, that's what they love to do. It's the action. See, it's the action with Mr. Kaiser. It's that tackling, it's that hitting, it's that helmet. And they keep coming. Look how the guy's built, Harper. Look at him. Is he not built like a football player, man? 6'1", about 230, 240. And he's carrying on the great linebacker tradition at Notre Dame. Crable, Stonebreaker, Super Bowl champion Jim Lynch, Frank Sams, Wes Pritchett. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Yeah, I played with Wes, and the greatest name anyone could ever have as a linebacker, in my opinion, other than Dick Butkus, is Michael Stonebreaker. What a cool last name. And he was with the Falcons very briefly. He didn't make the team, but he was in training camp with us. And I'll tell you, Kaiser, a little bit smaller for a traditional inside linebacker. So they're projecting him to be a guy that's going to be on special teams. He's going to make your club regardless because of the way that he plays. He may not be your starter, but he is going to do everything else that you don't want your starters to do. But he can hit. He hits hard. He's a good coverage guy, but not great. They haven't figured out yet whether or not he's going to be great against a tight end or whether he's going to be against a slot receiver or the running back. And you're called to do that at the NFL level. That's something that every linebacker has to do. So a little bit of development, of course, is going to be a part of every one of these draft picks, the selection. They're all going to have stuff that they're going to need to work on. But this guy can play. He's got a notoriety around him about how hard he hits and what a great guy he is in terms of looking for contact. He takes a different path sometimes to get to the ball carrier. Instead of going over a tackle, he'll go underneath him and still get to the ball. That's one of the things he does that a lot of people say, man, he doesn't take the traditional path, but he certainly gets to the runner or gets to the quarterback. Here's a look at some of his stats right now. He has 56 tackles so far this season with one game yet to play. He has one sack. He has a forced fumble and 2 fumble recoveries. So he's around the football, and he's certainly one of the leaders there for Notre Dame. Any final thoughts that you have before we move on, Vincent?
He's 24 years old. He's got a pro-ready frame. And what that tells me is a guy that's going to come to training camp, you're not going to have to worry about him coming bringing his A game every day. He's a guy that's there for business. That's what I like about the young man from Notre Dame University, touchdown Jesus.
Yeah, he'll be one of those guys, probably a day 2 or maybe certainly a day 3 guy that'll be selected. And if he's on your team, you'll be glad that you got him. He's going to be a guy that's going to work like crazy and hopefully take you to the next level. Next guy we want to look at is Luther Burden the third. Luther is a wide receiver, a slot receiver from Missouri. And what an impression that he's made on me. And looking at him, smaller guy, Vincent, in terms he's 5'11", but 210. Are you kidding me? He's built like a fire hydrant and very strong. Does not mind getting in traffic. Tell us a few things that you were able to learn around Luther.
Playmaker, instincts, ball tracking, hands off the charts. Got that what I call the slot mentality. Got a great short burst in the air. And what I mean by that, when you got guys his size that's small and quick, it's like boom, boom, they gone. And you better be on your heels ready to know that, hey, this guy's coming up the line of scrimmage quickness. And when I think about all the other players that I've seen play college football, he reminds me of a gentleman that played at SMU by the name of Emmanuel Tolbert, who's a first-team All-American in 78. He's got a little bit of Tim McGee, who I saw play at Tennessee. He's got a little bit of Mike Jones that played at Tennessee State. Even got a little bit of Desmond Howard and Anthony Carter. Don't you think? Look how Desmond Howard won the Heisman when he was 5'9". He wasn't as big as Luther, but he was a guy that was very good in space and also on the outside. Got a little bit of him, Carlos Carson, that played at LSU, Jesse Hester at Florida State. And one guy that went on and had a pretty good career with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Man, I saw him play Harper when he was at Southern Mississippi with Reggie Collier and Sammy Weiner, Lewis Lips. That's what really Luther Burden III reminds me of. Similar type game, very explosive in the slot. A guy you can even line up in the backfield and make something happen. And he's a very good guy that, remember this now, he stayed loyal to Missouri because he was thinking about going into the transfer portal. And there was money coming at him left and right. But he stayed committed to the University of Missouri. And he almost came to the University of Georgia because, you know, his best friend, who he played in high school with, is starting for Georgia right now, Dominique Lovett. Back to you, Harper.
Well, you mentioned his high school from East St. Louis. Jimmy Connors, the world famous tennis player, is from there. Kellen Winslow went to the same high school, and a teammate of mine, Brian Cox, who had a wonderful NFL career, all from East St. Louis High School. One thing he reminds me of, a kind of a Steve Smith type guy, a little bit smaller, but tough with nails.
Yeah,
Steve would pick up with the talk afterwards, but this guy, I'm going to get the ball, and you're not. It's going to be as simple as that. He's very elusive after he makes a catch, especially if he's in open space. So he's going to juke you. He's going to fake some people out, get an extra couple yards there, or maybe turn it into a big play. But he's the guy in a college game that's full of wide receivers. He's still projected as a day one guy, so a first rounder. He may go into the second round because it always depends on maybe there's a run on offensive linemen, or maybe there's a run on edge rushers like there have been over the past couple of years. And everyone gets nervous and they don't want to lose out on an edge rusher. So they pick one, next team picks one, another team picks one, and he might get pushed back, but he has got first round value. That's the way I look at it. Tough, aggressive, physical receiver. He's going to get the ball. He's going to make your offense better. And he's going to be a third down guy as well. He can play in the inside and the outside, meaning he can run go routes from the outside, or he'll work his way open against zone coverage in against linebackers or safeties. He'll find a spot where he can get the ball. That's what I like about him most. Anything else from you, Vincent?
Playmaker, playing in a big-time school, playing in the toughest conference of all of college football, in my opinion, the SEC, and the guys putting up numbers. He's going to be a player that a guy that can play in the slot. He's going to really give you good production from that area of the field. And if you got receivers on the outside like a Mike Evans or Amara Harrison Jr., he's going to be a nice complement to those people.
Yep. His biggest limitation is his size. He's a smaller guy at 5'11", but he makes up for it with his speed and with his power. He's a big, stocky young man, and any team would be glad to have him. The third and final guy that we're going to look at today is a University of Kentucky cornerback, Maxwell Hairston. He's 6'1", 185 pounds, a little bit lean right there. But, boy, if you're looking for a cornerback that's above 6 feet and every team is always looking for one that can run, that he can turn his hips well, has the ability to cover. Well, you may find it in this Kentucky Wildcat. Your thoughts about him, Vincent?
Motor City, Motown. I know about a couple of weeks ago, somebody told me in the NFL had the most players that's playing in the NFL from the city of Detroit. I still got to look that stat up, but that's hard for me to believe. But let me tell you something. They made me believe a gentleman that went a couple of years ago out of Cincinnati is a pretty good player in Sauce Gardner. I don't have no complaint. But what I like about Mr. Harrison, I like that size, 6'1", 185. I like what they got on him as a skill set, playmaker, length, FBI, football intelligence, quick reactor, a very good player in a zone scheme, a short area guy that can really turn the passing game upside down, ball magnet. That's what they're saying about this young man out of Kentucky. But when I look at him, I look at the comparison, he reminds me of Derrick Burrows that came out of Memphis State. Same size, 6'1", 185, can run like the wind. He got a little bit of Raymond Claiborne. Remember him, Harper? New England Patriots. Yep. Remember Lamar Parrish from Cincinnati? And remember Leslie Frazier, the corner that was on the 85 Chicago's Bears team? Same build, same size, as an outstanding assistant coach right now in the National Football League. This was this gentleman got right now. He's got them type of skill sets. And he's out of West Bloomfield High School. He was teammates with Donovan Edwards right now, the running back over there at University of Michigan. Javon Foster, who's at Missouri, who went in the 4th round in the 2025 NFL draft. And the same high school that produced a guy that hasn't really produced. I don't want to put his name out there. If you want to look me up, you look me on Facebook, Mr. Matthew Judan. He's from the same high school, but Mr. Judan has not done what he's supposed to do when he came on from England with the Falcons this year. The pass rush is still kind of weak. Back to you, Mr. Harper LeBel.
Well, the length is one thing that, you're either born with it or you don't have it. And he's got that, right? That's a gift, right? He's got long arms. He can quickly turn, change the direction. One of the things that they say that he needs to work on is he's a little bit under-disciplined, meaning he'll go against what the book tells you to do. Try to make a big play, but that can be corrected. And one other thing is press coverage. They don't know enough about the way that he's played to be able to play tight man defense versus playing in a regular zone, which he's probably most comfortable with right now. So if he's able to turn that into something that he does well at the pro level, could be a Pro Bowler someday. But he is a day one prospect. He's a guy that everybody thinks has a chance to go on the first day. And if not, even on the second day, that would be, again, it'd be a steal. It'd be a value for the pick because of the ability that he has and be a day one cornerback for you. He's going to be a starter no matter where he goes because he's that good. But long arms, great instinct. He's explosive. He can turn on a dime. He's aggressive. So far, his stats with Kentucky this year is 15 tackles. He has 1 sack, so he has no problem rushing the quarterback. He has 1 interception. He's forced 2 fumbles right now, and he's deflected a few passes as well. So this is a thorough guy that can play for you, and we're glad that we were able to talk about him. Final thoughts here, Vincent.
I think today we've talked about 3 prospects that's going to really have what I call something to prove when they get on the next level, especially Mr. Harrison coming out of Kentucky. We don't really hear about a lot of secondary people making it in the league and being Pro Bowl players. Then with Mr. Kaiser coming out of Notre Dame, you gotta figure he's going to uphold that tradition just coming from the school of Notre Dame. And then finally, Luther Burden III, who I really like. Just look at his film and look at his time in the SEC. Look at the production that he's done over the years since he's been there. Could you pull it up right quick, Harper? Can you pull up what he's done before we go out, Mr. Luther Burden III? Because I know go ahead, sir.
60 receptions this year. He's got 665 yards, 11.1 yards per catch, 6 touchdowns, his longest being a 44-yarder. But he can also run the ball. He has 9 carries right now this year. He's got 115 yards. Do the math. That's 12.8 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, the longest of which was the 61-yarder that he had earlier in the season.
And think about this: they start quarterback Brady Cook has been hurt all year long, been in and out of the lineup. Think about his numbers have been high. But with all three gentlemen, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in their draft process. I think when it's all said and done, and after the draft, we're going to be talking about them gentlemen being a contributor to some team that drafts them in the 2025 NFL draft.
Yep, absolutely. Well, we look forward to that. Obviously, it's still a few months away, but each week we're going to show you some players that we believe have a chance to get to be on your favorite football team. We hope that their fame and their fortune increase dramatically after they finish their final year of collegiate football. So Jack Kaiser, Luther Burden III, and then Maxwell Harrison are three that we wanted to look at today, from Notre Dame, from Missouri, and from Kentucky, respectively. So for Vincent Turner, I'm Harper LeBel. We want to thank our engineer, Logan Landers, for putting the show together. We want to thank you for tuning in to 100 Yards of Football. This is the Draft Prospects Show. We're glad that you tuned in. Have a great day, everybody. We appreciate you tuning in with us.